And here we are. We're live. We're up on stage without Annette talking about a film that's about a guy who goes up on stage without Annette. That is This Thing On? The latest film from, I'm going to go ahead and call him a prolific filmmaker now, Bradley Cooper. He is just, he's knocking them out, not quite at the Woody Allen pace, but
Right.
he's got something every couple years, it seems. And tonight is, this is sort of an award season darling. It came out late last year, getting some, buzz, some notoriety. But we're going to talk about this dramedy that is sort of about the world of stand-up comedy, mostly about a marriage falling apart. I got some very strange Marriage Story vibes coming out of this one. I know that was Noah Baumbach, but possibly because Laura Dern was in both of them.
True.
But so tonight we are Earth's Mightiest Critics, and we're talking about Is This Thing On? A film which I was frankly disappointed to learn was not about condoms. But that's a discussion for another day. I am joined here tonight by Don Shanahan of Film Obsessive, Katie Glidewell, the blonde in front, who is doing her best to duck out of the frame and probably this conversation after that line. Welcome.
That was good. That was good. Wow.
Thank you.
I'm surprised I didn't think of it. That was really good. Yeah.
True story. I've been sitting on that joke for weeks.
Okay.
No
wow.
pun intended.
Yeah, I was just going to wink on the sit on. Yeah, good job.
Anyhow, Don.
Yeah.
The teacher in the room who is used to getting up and talking in front of large groups of people.
It's true.
Would you do us the honor of synopsizing Is This Thing On?
So we've got a, I guess this would be Long Island middle-aged married couple. You have Will Arnette, who's normally known as a comedian and a comedy actor or a voice actor. You have Laura Dern. They have two kind of pre-teen, maybe early teen boys that are part of their family. And they're approaching this point in their life in a very frank manner. I'll talk about more on that later, of realizing that maybe this is it, that they need to separate and divorce. And to be able to kind of do that, they have to navigate obviously family dynamics that we see occasionally here and there in the film. And we have to navigate kind of the shared circle of friends that they have, because, when you're a married couple, you kind of adopt, his friends and her friends, and not necessarily that you need to have a side choosing situation here, but you have to kind of weather the landscape, and can you do so as an adult? At the same time, you have two people who are now kind of untethered from things that more normally bog them down, or at least from unhappiness, where they can go possibly spread their wings and do different things with their life. And we see one very large choice of that with Will Arnett's character, of becoming kind of, or at least kind of trying on the shoes and putting on the microphone to kind of be a stand-up comedian and doing open mic nights at the Comedy Cellar in Greenwich Village. And whether or not that's something that can kind of speak to him, something that can kind of inspire him, something can kind of get him out of the funk, or out of that shell and into a new place in his life. And can that kind of bring him new juice, new confidence, and all that? At the same time, we have a really good arc from Laura Dern on what she's going to do with her life as she's a former professional and amateur volleyball player who wants to maybe get back into the sport, whether as a coach because her years of being a player are over. But just kind of, they're both entering exciting freedoms, and whether or not that can mesh with their former lives. And it's you said it best, where this is a dramedy that kind of has definitely a sliding scale of how deep you want to get, but maybe not too deep, and then how funny you want to get without being too funny, and whether or not these two folks can kind of find their way, or if it's find each other's way, or if there's a we or a me in there. It's about where this film goes, and to me, in unexpected directions.
Well, thank you for that really nice summary there, Don. That was very well done. And that's why you're the teacher. We were kind of talking before we went live. Don, you are very high in this movie. It made your top 10 of 2025.
Yeah.
Katie, you are not so hot in this movie, and I feel like I'm somewhere in the middle to very positive. This might make my top. I still have to make my best of 2025 list. This might sneak in there, but it's honestly, and it's a film that we kind of have talked around in the last couple of weeks, because I didn't see it until last week. Marty Supreme, which Don, you kind of warned me off of when we were talking about Song Sung Blue, just in terms of like which movie to go see at Christmas. I agree, it's not a very heartwarming holiday film, but I think that character and that entire film are redeemed in that last like 2 minutes. And when you think about the bookend of the song choices, I think I read it completely differently. I think that is the moment where Marty grows up. And I love the fact that the cosmos kind of comes around to kind of put him in his place, as evidenced by the bookend song choices. But this is not a Marty. I want to say Marty Extreme. That's the third sequel or fourth sequel to Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
I would take that. I'd watch
anyhow,
that. $30 down on that. Yeah.
It's gonna, that movie's coming on an anniversary, I'm sure. Anyhow, I really liked this movie, but I was kind of in the wilderness during parts of it because for a film about stand-up comedy, maybe it's just a function of me getting older, I didn't recognize hardly any of the stand-ups. I assume a lot of these are New York comics because it feels like a thing that Bradley Cooper would incorporate into his film about New York stand-up comedy scene. I didn't recognize them. I didn't find any of the jokes to be particularly cutting or insightful or particularly edgy, especially coming out of the Comedy Cellar. I think the biggest crime of this film is that you have an appearance by Dave Attell, the masterful Dave Attell. He's introduced, he comes up on stage just as a transition to get our main character off the stage, and you don't even let him tell any jokes. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? No.
That's because the movie's not about stand-up comedy.
I get it.
You know what I mean? It's just a vessel, whatever artistic word we want to put there for a shell,
I get it. Even though it's not about stand-up comedy, I feel like it wants to live in that scene because it's not like he goes to a Yuck Yucks in a New Jersey strip mall. He goes to the Comedy Cellar.
He goes to
a place where the legendary, problematic, cutting edge, famous comics have come out of. And yet you get bland strip mall humor in a film centered on an edgy comedy club. And I felt that was the one tweak where, aside from when Alex Novak, our Will Arnett character, goes off in his kind of midlife crisis screaming rant, which isn't even really a stand-up routine, I thought that was the most authentic and angry bit of the film. But it's not particularly about that, much like Marty Supreme is not especially about ping pong. That's just kind of the hook.
Sure.
It really is about the marriage and dissolution. So, Katie, you said that you had three things that kind of stood out as being issues, right?
No.
Or three things that you liked. Okay.
No,
I'm sorry.
3 things that I liked.
All right, let's talk about
I'm
it.
not saying that I disliked the performances. They were what they were. But the 3 that really stood out to me are the 2 that stood out to me is the relationship between Andra Day and Bradley Cooper. One, I love seeing Andra Day, and I'm so glad, she's in a movie. She was my best actress pick for Billie Holiday a few years ago, and I thought she got screwed over from this. So I love to see her in this role. And then the fact that she has, her husband, Bradley Cooper, and their relationship that is so tumultuous and weird. And it's like the way she looks at him is almost like in disgust and stuff. But their relationship was my favorite of the entire film because they have issues. And unlike, I think, a lot of the people, and I've actually talked to someone recently regarding some stuff. They communicated when it's like, you know what, we're going to break up. We're going to do this. We're going to do this, blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, I thought you guys broke up. Oh, yeah, no, I did. And then I realized, like, what are we doing? We talked it out. We talked it through. And I'm like, communication, which is the key to so many of these F-ups in the relationships in this film. And that's the thing that I just get really, really angry with when I see this. But the other thing that I liked about it is that I don't know if it's me. I didn't check to see the location, but I swear to God, that house they go to for the weekend, is that Jenny's house in The World According to Garp?
That's
I don't
beyond
know.
my spot.
Because
there.
I know I didn't even look it up, but all I could think of, like seeing the porch, seeing the ocean, seeing everything about it, it's like it just gave me a little like, oh my gosh, did they use the house from World According to Garp? Because that is amazing. But that's kind of like, here's the thing. I think if the kids had been older, because the kids were 10 and they make sure to make, they were 10 years old. Both Will Arnett and Laura Dern are in their 50s. So that means that they had the kids in their 40s. So the whole, I feel like there's some things that people are like, oh, I missed out on certain things. Did you? Did you miss out on certain things? Because that's the thing that it's like, and this has happened before in a film that Laura Dern did with Woody Harrelson years back, where they played a couple and they gave their kid up for adoption, and the kid ended up being 16. And I was like, you gave your kid, how old do you think I'm supposed to believe you are? And these are the things that it's like, I don't know. I have issues with people who I missed out on all this stuff. Did you though? This is, it's like, if we're going from what I'm supposed to believe, you had the kids in your 40s. I don't know what you missed out on because I feel like you were still doing everything in your 30s. I think they maybe had some issues with IVF, but I don't know. I just have like issues with that. Also, I have a major issue with when Will Arnett was on stage and that we're supposed to think that he would have seen his ex-wife leaving when you're on stage in a comedy club. Have you guys ever been on stage when those bright lights are hitting your eyes and all that stuff?
Well, no, he didn't know that she was there. He didn't know until after he had left.
No. And that's fine. But when she was leaving, I feel like he saw her leave, and that's what we were supposed to believe. And I'm like, I'm not believing that.
He didn't see her leave. Just to correct the record, he got off stage. Laura Dern, Tess, that her character's name, was there with
Peyton Manning. I know. I love it. What a cameo.
Yeah, which that was odd, but okay.
It's awesome. I loved it.
Anyhow, they were on sort of a date, non-date, and they went to the Comedy Cellar, and who happens to be up on stage? Alex, the ex-husband. So
love that part.
She stays for the entire set, and then she and her friend leave, and on the way out, she mentions, we kind of see this from the distance. We don't hear it, but we infer it by the actions. She mentions to one of the other comics as they're leaving that was my husband up on stage. They leave and go out onto the street. Alex, as he's leaving, passes by the same comic, and she's like, that's so cool. Your wife was here. I can't believe, it's so cool that she's cool with you saying all that stuff. He's like, wait a second, she was here? So we had no idea she was in the audience.
Okay.
Even though, but I think to your point about stage lights, it is very interesting because it is kind of something you have to be aware of how stage lights work and how it feels to be up on stage as opposed to being an audience, because they are in his direct line of sight. There's a wide shot where you're like, how does he not see her? And it's because he can't see. He's got like crowd blindness up there. Yeah. So it's very interesting.
If you're not looking for her because you don't think she'd come, part of that's there too.
That's true.
Well, and I got a little, then that is my bad. I got it because I was under the impression that when she was leaving, he saw her. I must have been writing down and missed that part.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He ran up to the street and he saw her waiting for a cab or something like that.
Yeah. Right. Like, Don, I'm sorry, we're gonna disagree on this. This to me was a very forgettable 2025 film.
Okay.
I do like the end. I do like the kids and everything. I do like how he's trying to make these two places very welcoming for the kids, and especially, I don't know. I liked that they had the poster of the mom, doing that, but then she disliked it, I feel like, and then I don't know. This wasn't a hit for me at all.
I got angles that I like, but Ian, you go first, or whatever you're gonna say. You're the boss.
A couple of things, and I want to touch on them because you bring up some good points here, Katie. One that I don't want to lose sight of is the age of these two main characters.
We've seen that, but younger. I don't put stock in it.
No, it's not so much.
You know what I mean?
No, but I think Katie's picking up on something that I was kind of wrestling with throughout the picture. Is we are introduced to Alex and Tess, life already in progress. There's no voiceover montage like, me and Tess, we met when we were in college. It was great until whatever things fell apart. We grew apart.
Yeah.
We meet them as they are breaking up. I think their first conversation is, are we going to pull the trigger? We need to call it. That's right.
Yeah.
So they're going to tell their kids and all this other stuff. He's moving out. We never find out what Alex does for a living. And in fact, and that's kind of
color,
but it's kind of a problem for me because We don't
We
know
about that
when
either.
he's going up to do the stand-up open mic nights. You'd think that they're probably the weekends, but then he's got his kids on certain weekends.
Yeah.
And also he's out late doing all this stuff and gallivanting around, yet he wears a suit to whatever job he's going
sure.
to. So we don't quite understand how he's balancing all
Yeah.
this, what he does, what his job means to him. We find all about Tess and
Sure.
her life and her dreams and her career and everything. We find out all about Bradley Cooper's character, but
Little
the
bit.
two kind of troubled spouses in the relationships, the Will Arnett, his Alex character, and what was Andre Day's Christine? She's Bradley Cooper's character's wife. We don't find out anything about them, really.
No.
They do get some meaningful conversations, but they're not quite complete characters. They're more sketches.
Sure.
But going back to why I think that's important in terms of the main relationship is, you're right, they do appear to be in their 50s. They have two 10-year-old boys that they struggle to have, via, IVF, we're meant to believe.
Sure.
But she keeps talking about how like their relationship started to fall apart after she left her Olympic volleyball career dreams. She like kind of opted out of that. That would have probably been in her 20s. So we're talking about 20 plus years before they had children, and she's still holding on to that. That seems an awful long time for it to get to this point.
Yes.
They seem like these characters should have been about 10 to 15 years younger, being at this place in their lives.
And I because I'm not taking the calculator and the advocates of that, and I'll let the people with lack of gray in their temples or at least enough Grecian formula in their hair play younger. I let them play younger. It didn't take me out. I didn't need the calculator. I mean, I know how old Laura Dern is, and I know how old Will Arnett is, but
you can't. Care. This isn't a case of like, okay, they're 25, but they can play 18. No, they look like they're in their 50s.
No, they look like they could be, but they also can look mid 40s enough. Like again, I'm not.
Wait a second. You talk amongst yourselves. I gotta look something up because I forgot to look this up.
Well, I mean,
I saw this movie this afternoon, so
I
it's fresh in my head.
I feel very 46, but Katie is not 46 and doesn't look her age at all, and it just it's how you carry yourself. You know what I mean?
But I'm a unicorn.
You are a unicorn. Damn right. Yeah.
Bald hair, whatever. I can make this stuff work.
That's right.
I'm working 52 and a half pretty damn good. However,
Laura Dern is almost 60 years old, guys.
I know. And again, you're asking for a stretch for let actors play an age that they want to play. And we've seen those crow's feet corners show up in some movies where you're like, I wonder if they're, or that hair color comes in a little bit. But that's not the stuff I look at in a movie, so you guys can have that.
Well, I think the issue for me comes out with, I give movies a lot of grace when they plop us in the middle of the story, because I trust that at some point a lot of this context there will be context. And I kept coming around to these questions because they kept introducing these elements into the story in terms of character moments or conversations that were had. I'm like, okay, so right about this time is we're going to get more of their backstory, and it's all going to kind of come into focus. And at the end of the movie, I'm kind of wiping away tears at this sort of happy ending, but then I'm like, wait, I still don't understand these people.
Yeah.
I will say this. I ended up being okay with where the relationships ended up, but I felt like Cooper and his co-writers, it was Cooper, Arnette, and then it was also Mark Chappell, based on a story by this is based on a true story by John Bishop, who's a UK comedian. But I felt they came real close to just like diving headfirst into the hectoring wives and girlfriends trap. Like the first 20 minutes of this movie, all the women in it are terrible. The guys are just these kind of like sad sack, don't want to say anything because the women are always like criticizing them or pestering them, or like, it's like every terrible sitcom to come out of the last like 15 years. And at the end, it kind of makes sense. I think Christine had a really nice couch side conversation with my gosh, why can't I think of his name? Our main character. Damn. Alex.
Forgettable.
Alex. Yeah, there you go. No, it's just I have not had nearly enough coffee or too much. But I liked that moment, but it took a while for them to turn into real characters and get out of that kind of sitcom, like the schlubby husband doesn't know what to do, so he's going to start a stand-up career. And
Yeah.
even that moment you brought up towards the end, Don, where Alex has a photograph. His favorite photograph of his wife is one from her Olympic volleyball moment of fame where she's like midair, but it's a shot from behind. He has that blown up into a wall-sized portrait to hang in his new apartment because it reminds him, and also a good reminder of the kids of what a great mom she is. When he tells her that, she gets upset and she starts like, like, I have the right to be upset. And she's like, I can't believe that you don't appreciate the fact that this makes me mad. And all this other stuff. I'm like, maybe you dodged a bullet there, Alex, because this is unreasonable behavior. There's no sense of like empathy or understanding. She even says like, I know you think you're doing the right thing. Well, then can you just stop with the yelling?
Yeah.
That's where I came down on it.
No. So where I land in this movie and where I appreciate it is, I give it its kudos because of something that we don't normally see in a quote unquote divorce movie. Like we normally, I go back, you said Marriage Story because here's Laura Dern in it. Like there's a lot of movies that go in this department. You're right. We have the teeth brushing opening day monologue where her husband goes to work. We have all the setups and all the different tropes of like you said, the sad sacks or the needle, the prodding wife and all the different versions of unhappy married characters, and we see that a lot in a zillion movies, and we see the yelling and the fights, and we think we're getting as an audience in those movies privy to something that maybe is either relatable or we need to see those things in order to for us to determine who we want to side with or who should have a pound of flesh or vice versa. So for this movie to kind of like open on that scene of like, hey, I think we need to call it, lets you know in a small way like this is not the first conversation they've had about this. To maybe that day, that week, that year, and to be able to jump into that and not divulge everything and just kind of say, hey, I trusted two adults. Well, I trust is a strong word, but I'm like, I'm going to watch two adults who've made a decision. Let's see where it goes. And to watch it unfold in this particular manner where it's not backbiting and it's not, let me show my ex-wife up and all that. We have like the legitimately amicable split, which we don't normally see in movies because there's more sizzle in the fights and the Marriage Story versions of this, where we want those volatile best actor reel kind of like scenes of like pounding the wall. We want Adam Driver to be so damn mad in Scarlett Johansson's face. We're conditioned to kind of want a lot of those moments, or we get a lot of those moments. So to see two people navigate the end amicably, and to kind of see what that would look like, and to see what that would look like from a behavior standpoint and a friendship standpoint, and then in an aspirational standpoint of like, what do I want to do next? I appreciated that, like, because like again, it's more of betterment first, acid second, and I think that more often than not, I like to think that there are divorces and splits that end up that way. I'm a product of one myself. I'm in my second marriage. My ex-wife and I talk all the time, where we were cool like that. We didn't have any shared custody and kids and all the zany stuff that goes with that, where we just understood, hey, this wasn't working for us. We're better people about it. And we don't need to be petty. And so I like that Cooper wants to go there and then kind of still infuse the art, like I said, the artistic inspiration into the introvert, the extroverted part of what these two characters want to do, and to do those in some really strong conversational moments where again we're not getting the shouting match actor award show reels, we're getting the conversational ones where we have two level-headed people trying to figure themselves and each other out. And I really appreciated the movie took that candor and took that timber with it versus shouting and yelling and just destructive this and destructive that. I appreciated that.
I agree, and I think that's why, like I said, I'm even though I've got some criticism, which I'm leveling mercilessly at this movie, I really did like this film a lot, and it may inch its way up onto that best of list. But I just feel like it's got a couple of things going for it. I think are going against it. The sharpness of the comedy. I feel like that was a miss. I know. I think I saw like a CBS This Morning profile or something on Will Arnett talking about this movie and how he actually went out and went up on stage at different comedy places using his character's name and all that stuff. And like, that's great, but you're still Will Arnett. You've got the unmistakable voice. He's the host of Lego Masters, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
No,
but he's but I know we think of him as a funny man, but he's a Strasberg School actor. Like, he's not a comedian. He just happens to have been able to have good luck and land in these voice actor dorky spots, and
Right.
it's
And
nice to see him flex.
yeah, and I think that's I appreciated being able to see that side of him here.
Yeah,
What
definitely.
I'm talking about is
Oh,
I
when
just
he
have this
just released-
strange feeling like the material, like I think he said he was writing a lot of this stuff and he was kind of nervous to get up on stage.
Mhm.
I feel like these are the jokes that pass if there's a famous person delivering them. Like I feel like he should have had Dave Attell write all of his stand-up bits
Mhm.
and then forget about the authenticity of going up on stage.
Yeah.
Just to have a hired, extras in the
then-
Comedy Cellar and have Will Arnett perform these jokes and
But
have
then
people
would
laugh
be-
hysterically.
But then would he be like the Mary Sue of like, boy, he just got comedy on the first try? Like the
No, but-
rambling, stumbling act feels very first timer. A guy just
What-
trying to feel it out.
That's the difference
He's not
between-
going to be a stud on the first try. He's not going to be a stud on the 12th try.
No, I'm not talking about the delivery.
Okay.
There's a distinction between delivery and the
And
jokes.
quality of jokes. Okay.
I like the fact that he gets up there and he stammers and we kind of
yeah.
see a lot of that in trailer. Unfortunately, that would have been a
Mhm.
nice surprise when he gets
Yeah.
up there. He's basically quiet and trying to figure out, okay, I'm up. To set the stage, he goes up onto
He just
this
wants the free drink in the
stage. Yeah,
spot in the door. Yeah.
Yeah.
he stumbles on this restaurant and he sees that there's comedy in there. And he's like, I want to go. The bouncer's like, it's $15. Like, $15? He's like, yeah, it's comedy, man. And then this lady walks in and says, hey, Sal or whatever. He's like, why didn't you charge her money? Because she put her name up on the list. So he's like, I'll do that. And so he did it to get a free drink or to get admission at least. And then he got
get a drink.
Yeah, and he got hooked. And so he gradually became a stronger comic, even though that's kind of the running joke of he's not a very good comic. And even towards the end, I don't know
Not a very good
how
comic.
polished he gets. And we don't even know if he's going to keep doing that really after this is over. Maybe, I would like to think so. But
even
I'm
if
just
he
saying, like the
doesn't,
quality of
there's
the
people-
jokes
yeah.
as he goes along, you can have Dave Attell, a comic who's been around for 30 plus years, right from the point of view of that guy, but have like jokes that really punch you in the gut like a good Dave Attell joke can.
Sure.
And maybe that's one of the issues, and maybe that's one of the biggest issues that I have with the film, that his comedy is therapy. And definitely I didn't laugh at the majority of the stuff he said on stage, but I definitely laughed at a number of the things that happened afterwards or before. Like with his mom and dad, when he tells his parents he's going to do stand up, and his mom's like, I didn't realize your life was this bad. It's like, oh man, that's really harsh. But then when he has that scene with his dad, who I love to death.
I didn't write it down either.
Ciarán Hinds,
Ciarán Hinds. And
Playing
they
Jan.
have that moment where he didn't tell his mom, he just wanted to go there and see him. And that's a beautiful moment in the film. And some of the things he has with his kids, but that's the thing. It's like, even when he has his one night stand and he doesn't know how to, navigate that and stuff. And she leaves and she buzzes and he answers her buzzer, and she's like, psycho, why are you answering my buzzer? I'm like, that was funny. That's the stuff that's funny. But it's like, it's the stuff that was on stage that, if this is supposed to be about comedians, I didn't, but it's not really, is it really supposed to be? It's just trying to figure out like when your life's going to hell, or like how to get a little bit of joy and all that.
There's also a ladder of this where this isn't, we're not trying to watch like a sports movie level of a guy like trying to like make it and become a star. Like he's just up here because this is a place he can express himself and try to get those demons out, where this is no different than the same girl who gets up on karaoke night at her local bar every Thursday. Like, she's not trying to get discovered. She's not trying to make it big. She's not trying to get on America's Got Talent. This is just her night, her spot to pour her little heart out. And for an audience of 5 or 12. Now, Ian's right. Like, this is still the Comedy Cellar. It's open mic night. They'll let anybody on a clipboard, but at the same time, like, I don't detect a rise to stardom necessary here. Like,
well, I
want
to say
to have a spot to talk and be himself or put it out there.
And this reminds me of, once again, Song Sung Blue, where those characters in the Neil Diamond tribute experience, they didn't have grand dreams of playing biggest. They just wanted to, they'd play bingo halls, maybe a casino, And then I think Jim Belushi said, I can even get you on the casino circuit because he's the
Yeah.
bus driver. Like
That's as far as you
that's
need
the
to go,
level of
yeah.
their ambition, right? And that's fun. And that's kind of heartwarming. And
Sure.
it's cool because it also axes out the predictable, I got a shot, but then it becomes about, is it going to be
Right.
comedy or my family or whatever.
Well,
One thing I
compare
wanna
that to Marty Supreme, who thinks he's the best American ping pong player in the world and needs to chase it, So like it's a lower level.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about Marty Supreme. He might have been, but the
True.
problem is he blew it because that was the thesis statement at the beginning of the movie that if he won these matches, he was going to bring table tennis to America as the international success that it is, everywhere outside of America. And he would have been the John McEnroe of table tennis, but he screwed it up. Anyway, we might have to talk about Marty Supreme, but
I know
our week will come.
Definitely praising Marty Supreme equally. Then,
well,
which was Marty Supreme was my number 2 film of 2020.
Oh gosh, not even close for me. But I'm a different guy.
For a discussion for another day. But Katie, I do want to hone in on that scene when he has the one night stand. Alex has a one night stand with a comic, and it wasn't the door buzzer thing was cool, but I think what could have been this movie's thesis statement, if it had a little bit more polish and a little more callbacks, I thought was very insightful. They don't show them having sex. They show them like in the immediate aftermath of it, or basically a few hours later, because it's like the middle of the night, and she's packing up, she's putting on her clothes to go somewhere. She like gets a bag, and I think it's not quite clear what he sees, but it looks like it might have been a tag of some kind. And he says, "Are you a nurse?" And she says, "No, I'm a stand-up comic." And then she leaves. It's like, she's probably a nurse, but she lives the world of stand-up comedy, as do a lot of the comics in this film. I think that was a very sweet Marty Supreme-esque boost of confidence in her own craft.
Katie and Ian, do you tell people you're a film critic? Do you tell people you're a project manager and a dental assistant?
I tell them I'm a film critic.
See, there you go. I
depends on the audience.
It just it depends.
I tell them I'm a
film.
I work at a dental office, but I tell them I'm a film critic because that is what I'm excellent at both things, but what I love and what I do is
Okay.
If I don't want to be hated, I keep the fact that I'm a film critic under my vest. Anyway.
I must tightrope a double life then, because it depends on the spot I'm in. It's weird. Yeah.
I mean, because it's true, and that's the beautiful thing I think about modernity is there are so many avenues for people to be multiple things, to pursue multiple passions. And I think that's one of the cool things that came out of this movie is they were so unhappy in their marriage. And this is a line that was in the trailer and I kind of forgot about it, but when it came back in the movie, I'm like, damn, that's a really good line. When Alex says to Tess at the very end, he's like, I was unhappy in our marriage, but I wasn't unhappy with our marriage.
Exactly.
I think that was so important because they had grown apart, but they'd kind of forgotten how to communicate with each other and express their unhappiness and talk about what might make them happy. For Tess, she discovered a love. She realizes, and there's kind of on the precipice of her thinking, well, maybe I can get back into professional volleyball playing, but she can definitely be a hell of a coach. Right. And then Alex discovers stand-up comedy, and then they both kind of figure out as they become friends in the midst of what could have been a very messy divorce that, we can have a family and pursue outside interests and be best friends again and kind of rekindle a romantic relationship. Don, you bring it up perfectly. So many other movies end in, disaster.
Exactly.
That it's good to see that, there's alternative. See, a separation doesn't have to automatically equal divorce.
And I think that's your thesis, is that like the lengths and limits of like rekindled love, like you can, or whether it's with that same person back again, or you're finding it within yourself, or just like the appreciation you have of an amicable split in marriage. Like I like this movie arrives at that and has, where it can, the proper big conversations to cover it. The ones you would have with a trusted friend, the ones you would have with a stranger you bedded at night, the ones you would have with each other when you finally got that. Because I love that the couples weekend, the big talk up in the attic, like that's huge conversation. And again, it's a conversation that goes up and down, hither and thither, but isn't Adam Driver punching holes in walls. It's mature, and it has it has wants and it has desires underneath what they're trying to say to each other amidst this new energy. And we don't normally see those conversations. We get the fights, and I really appreciated whoever could direct that, write that, act that, and I see that all in this movie, and I'm just impressed by pulling it off, because it counts as forgettable because there's not that big fight scene, or there's not that big huge comedy scene. Even though that Peyton Manning scene, you're sitting in your chair going, "Oh my god, I hope he doesn't see her." Like you're cringing for everybody in that room for a second there. But you're right, it doesn't have that signature big, stump pedestal moment. But I didn't need one. I just needed polish and completeness, and I got that. I was impressed. Yeah, sorry.
No. And I respect that. And I don't need a big blow up fight. I don't need it's like, here's an Oscar nominated monologue, all that stuff. It's just, I have an issue, and I feel like it's because of relationships that I've known that have been on the precipice of breaking up, that have broken up, where certain people are just completely blindsided, and it's just communication. That's like, in the beginning, I felt like it's like, it's like, okay, we just need to call it. And it's like, oh, okay. And just when I see relationships like that, I don't know, like I have a major, I was one of the people who did not like La La Land because I didn't understand. It's like, she could go to Paris and do this, and you could do here, and it could work. You know why? Because you're rich. Because you're able to do a lot of stuff. Or last time I checked,
means too. Yeah,
and I'm not sure. I'd have to look, but I think Paris does have jazz bands and places that play jazz.
Paul Newman and Sidney Poitier told me so years ago.
And these are the things that it's like, when I see relationships that are like, wait, this could work. You guys just have to talk.
The smallest speed bump derails them, right?
It's like, I don't need to have a big blow up thing and all that stuff. Like, I remember a friend of mine who 4 years into her marriage, her husband was like, you know what? I don't want to have kids. And I was asking her, I'm like, I'm sorry, isn't this something you guys discussed before you even got married? Like, did he just back out and stuff? Or what happened? And those are the things that it's like, Jesus, it's like the communication that I don't understand. Like, when she's like, I seem so unhappy that it's like she gave up volleyball and stuff like that. But it's like, in any kind of sport, especially when you have kids, I mean, and even if you don't have kids, even with guys, it's like, look, your body's can only handle so much.
Right.
And you have a finite time in any sport that you're in, male or female. And I just feel like there was like parts of the film where she blamed him for not being able to continue volleyball. And I was like, I don't understand necessarily. Maybe it's like, I get it, trying to have kids and all that stuff, but it's like, you went to the Olympics, which is like, there's not a lot of people, there's 1% of the entire planet that can say I went to the Olympics and or, at the Olympics. And then I don't know, there was just stuff, but
I assume it's the classic athlete thing that you hear about all the time, especially with female athletes. Like, when you are pregnant, that's 2 years of your career, minimum, gone. So if you do that at your prime years in your 30s or your late, your 20s or 30s, you're asking for a derailment that's hard to come back from. Not just the 2 years of just physical process of pregnancy and then, the healing after pregnancy and coming, but then there's training and getting back on the team and not losing your spot. So I hear that all the time with professional athletes and wrestlers and all the people who do that. So I'm not surprised that volleyball plus plus parenting would be a deal breaker on this family. But at the same time, there is some white privilege of they got a nice house, they're doing fine,
Well, I mean, let's take the race out of it, but I just want to add, I just want to mention, and I think we're kind of circling back to that timeline problem we were discussing earlier, because it's unclear to me why she gave up her career. I think it would have made a bit more narrative sense if she had almost gotten to the Olympics and then something derailed her.
Sure.
But she got to the Olympics.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if she'd gotten to the Olympics and she bombed out, or she only got bronze and she wanted to go for the gold, but then they had some kind of an issue and she dropped out because of him. They never established the why of what happened, and they barely cover what really happened. And then there's the whole gap of like, all right, so what about the other 15 to 20 years between when that logically would have happened and you deciding to have kids?
Yeah.
If you're stuck in these characters being 52, 53, 55, yeah. If you're
I
in
am
your
because
head,
I have eyes, Don.
I know, but like I didn't care. Like if they're 45 and they're working it, and this was 10 years ago when they had kids at 35, she has to make a decision when she's 33, 34.
But even then, I'm
I
saying
just-
like that's way
yeah.
past prime age for an Olympic volleyball player, right? I mean,
Possibly
I would assume
there's some veterans that can play that long, you know, especially on sports that aren't commanded by the 20 somethings. Like when it's WNBA and those players are in their 20s, but we've got in women's sports you can hang a little longer. You know, you're not passed over by the 21-year-olds as frequently as you are with the men. But
okay,
I'm
raising my
getting
hand.
through
I'm
the
raising my hand saying I am not a volleyball or women's
same.
volleyball or an
Yeah,
Olympics
yeah.
expert. So people out there, feel free to school me / us on. Oh, there's 45-year-old volleyball champion Olympians. I don't know.
But to me, small detail where I think Katie nailed it. Where it's like the career stuff is the career stuff, but the communication stuff is where they've gotten to this point, and that can be about you put whatever topic you want there, rubber duckies or volleyball. I mean, you see it with the way that they behave around each other, body language wise, in the beginning of that movie, but at the same time, in a not a resentful enough way that they can't go to a party together and function, and then have a pot brownie in the subway to ride home. Like they're still okay. They're just not their best, and that was enough.
And that's one of the things, like with Andrade, like with Christine and Ball's relationship, you could tell that Christine was the breadwinner. Like she was the one who was, because Ball's doing whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he was an actor and he's trying all these. It's like, I'm about to do the thing. And then it's like, yeah, I'm going to be this cowboy. It's a recurring role. It's like, so I got killed, but I might come back. And it's a 6-episode stint. And it's like, it's like she's allowed. It's like, I don't want to say she's allowing him, but obviously
she's allowing him.
He's and
enabling starving artists has been done too, you know,
And but the thing is, it's like their relationship, it's like he feels like she's stifling him and all that stuff. It's like you're able to do what you can do because she's keeping the lights on, sir.
Exactly.
So shut up. But then he realizes that, like, he's like, well, you guys are it's like, no, she came down. It's like we talked it out. It's like I can't live without her. And I'm like, see, it's just that easy. It's like figure out who your person is and why, but it's like it's not easy. Though. Seem like it. I don't know.
It's not easy, especially when you've been married that long.
A
relationship can atrophy, and you know, a week of silence or bitterness can grow into a month, can grow into a year, multiple years. It can be a big problem. That's why, you know, divorces happen. That's why marriage counseling is a thing. And what I think this movie dances around the edges of. It kind of comes out and says it has happened over the course of years. They used to be head over heels in love with each other. And that's something that Christine brings out in that conversation of like, Alex used to be funny, you know, but he probably might have been a better stand-up comedian 20 years ago than he is now. But he used to be kind of the life of the party. And now he's just this kind of shell of himself who doesn't talk very much. That's something I think the film could have done a little bit better is they keep making a point of how Alex doesn't talk much. But they immediately cut to other scenes where he's talking, you know. I think Christine hints on that a little bit, or maybe it's in a conversation with Tess about, it was with the conversation with Tess in that bedroom about how he would be kind of still have energy and great conversations with his friends and other people. But when he kind of got home to be around the wife and kids, he would kind of clam up as if they weren't interesting or good enough for him. Yeah, I guess just maybe digging a little bit more into that, or you know, making a bit more of a recurring theme would have been put a bit more meat on the bones. Because
that's fair.
I'm looking forward to seeing this movie again, knowing how it ends up and that it ends up in kind of a real place. But there were long stretches where I'm like, where's this going? Is this going to be about the comedy? Is it going to be about the family? I don't know.
The unpredictability side helps it to me, you know, like there's no foregone conclusion in the first 30 minutes, like, oh, these two are meant for each other, it's over, you know, like I'm glad it keeps a little bit cards close to the vest, you know.
There's a difference though, Don. I understand. I appreciate that you were kind of on that wavelength and kind of going where it took you. My problem was the feeling I got in those middle stretches weren't that, oh, I'm glad I don't know where this is going. I felt like the movie was being written by Bradley Cooper's character in this movie, who's kind of a flake and like, well,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
it's
yeah.
about this, or maybe it's about that, or maybe we'll
Yeah.
go explore something over
That's-
here or over here. I'm like,
That is
can we just
Brad.
focus on something and get to the point?
Yeah, that is Bradley though too. Like, I mean, you see him, he has his manic tendencies where you can, Bradley Cooper's fingerprints, not just because he's balls, but like are all over this movie and it shows, for sure. Yeah.
True. And I mean, the direction was not bad.
Oh,
I
yeah.
liked the scenes, the party scenes. I liked almost like a little too like in your face with the both of them, especially like after she saw Alex, after Tess saw Alex and stand up, all that stuff. And even on the subway where you think it's like, okay, so maybe they're not breaking it up, and then she has to tell Alex, like, you're not going home. He's like, oh gosh, that's right. Sorry, I got high. And then he like gets off. And that was a little, to me, a little heartbreaking because it's like he seemed lost. He didn't. It's like, usually this is a drill. We go to our friend's house. We do this. We go home. And it's like, and this is not my norm. And it's like, so what am I doing? Yeah.
And I think it's the scene that leads him to go to the Comedy Cellar for the first time. Well, it's when he drives out at night and he just parks across the street from his house. Yeah, because Tess has the kids and they're like up in the bedroom and kind of talking about what it's like to be over at Dad's house, and he's just sitting there, and you can just tell that he doesn't say it. There's no dialogue, but you just read from his face, from Will Arnette's face, like he feels like he should be able to go in there because that's his house and his family, but he can't. And it's just like this invisible barrier that's keeping him. Is like, I gotta go do something else, and that's when he just drives into New York.
I dig it because again, that would be a voiceover, like, oh, she won't let me in the house. Like, it would be a narration shit. And
that's another thing. That's another scene that reminds me of The World According to Garp. When they go on the date and it's like they've got the babysitter and the babysitter's with the kids. It's like, and he just looks at her. It's like, we're just going to sit across the street and look at the kids. Like,
there's a little Mrs. Doubtfire energy in here too, I can't be around, but I need to be here. It's a kid's birthday, and like, but again, it's not, I mean, that's over the top when it's Mrs. Doubtfire, like, complete, I need to be in my kids' life kind of level. I mean, this is just, I respect her space, respect my time, but you're right, Ian, that there's that discomfort of what used to be comfort that he's figuring out. And I like all that. And then Cooper as Balls, like, obviously he's a ham when you get him in this movie, but like, he's not stealing the scenes and taking over the movie, which could easily have been done. Like, if this was Zach Galifianakis, like, this would be a takeover attempt movie. Like, we'd be talking about Balls, but he shows up just enough to do a little something, shows just enough to kind of, paint Will's character a little more. And then obviously to give Andra Day, like you said, Kitty, kind of that marital foil of like, well, if I was a starving artist, I'd have to deal with that guy. And like, do you want to turn into that guy? Like, that kind of thing, So I'm glad there was those measurements and comparisons there.
Yeah. Well, we're just about at time. We're going to get to some comments because we have a number of them. But before we do, I want to do something a little bit different tonight on the show. I asked my esteemed panelists to think about a stand-up comic, not necessarily their favorite, although it could be your favorite, but someone who said something, or there was a bit or a routine, and you don't have to reenact it, but just kind of talk about it. A comic who helped change the way that you see the world, or comedy, because the George Carlin school, kind of like, they were very funny, but they also made you think. So I would like, I'll lead off with an obscure comic to a lot of people, but in the world of stand-up comedy, he's in the pantheon, and that's Bill Hicks. He was a comic. He had an album in 1990 called Dangerous, and in the street scene with Alex and his father outside of the Comedy Cellar, he asked his dad, what did you think of it? And the dad says, oh, that was dangerous, which I don't know if that was a shout out to Bill Hicks, but I like to think that it was. But he was Dennis Leary, not before Dennis Leary, but coinciding with Dennis Leary. And if you listen to Dangerous and you listen to No Cure for Cancer, you'll understand why they had a falling out. He was more of a kind of a preacher than a comic, people like to say. But if you want to talk about wildly politically incorrect, but insightful and yes, dangerous humor, I'd recommend checking out Bill Hicks's 4 albums. He died of pancreatic cancer in 1994, I think. But he changed my life listening to that stuff. If you like George Carlin, he's right kind of in that groove.
Okay.
Who wants to go next? Don.
Don. All right. I've got 2 that are to me similar in terms of like level of comedy and their shtick, but they come from different places. When I was younger, I grew up more of a country boy. You can take the boy out of the country, but not the country out of the boy. So like Jeff Foxworthy was coming on the scene in the 90s, and he had a shtick that was there. I'm not more of a Foxworthy guy, but like I like his running mate. I like Bill Engvall, the Here's Your Sign guy. I just appreciate the way that he has just exasperated regular man moments of life as a parent, as a dad, and all that. And I know it's probably more of a, nowadays it's more of a conservative crowd, but he never kind of, unlike some of the other comedians that are from that, I don't want to say demographic, he didn't like wear that out in a like, virtue signaling kind of way. I know that's probably not the term for it, but like, I just appreciated how real, funny, and frank that Bill Engvall was as just like silly stories about life, where I picture Will Arnette, like if he ever were to kind of get over where the muddy place of his life, he would just go up there and tell silly stories about his life. I would go up there as a teacher and tell silly stories about my life if you gave me a mic. So the similar person, the second person I would put there in a non-country bumpkin way, but in a similar just everyman way is I love Jim Gaffigan. I love Jim Gaffigan.
I was going to say,
yeah,
Jim Gaffigan is like he's like the North of the Mason-Dixon line version of like Jeff Foxworthy and Bill Engvall, those guys. Yeah,
he's a Wisconsin guy, so he gets like, fat, lazy white guy. Like, I'm not going to run. Like, just he's got half of a deadpan delivery where he's not Stephen Wright, but at the same time, he has a simpler, less exasperated frankness than Engvall does. And I love the duality of what both of those guys can storytell and do, and just have you on the edge of your seat versus the shock value comedians that are really easy. Like I could do Ali Wong here and love her show, but it's more of an eyebrow raise than it is a boy, they spoke to me kind of thing. Like I can do a Matt Rife joke, but he's not speaking to me, he's speaking to somebody else,
2 things on Jim Gaffigan. First, shameless plug, he has been on this show a couple of times. Secondly, I'll have to do those up and put a link down in the description. But by pure coincidence, a couple weeks ago, we introduced our youngest to Jim Gaffigan, and we put him on now when we're like building Legos. And it's just so great to hear that little kid laughter during Hot Pockets.
Yeah, the Hot Pocket, it's so good. And maybe that's me as a dad now, where Engvall and Gaffigan are clean enough you can put that on at a family gathering, versus you got to watch what you put on with some of the other folks, which I love. I will use a 4-letter word like nobody else, but time and place,
Yeah, exactly. Katie, do you have anyone you want to put up?
Yes. So I think I've told my story about cable. We were one of the first cable houses of anybody that I knew. And having HBO, they would always have like stand-ups live and show little bits from like different comedy clubs and all that stuff. So there are a few one that I don't even remember, and I'll do the bit in a minute, but 2 that I loved. One was Judy Tenuta. And she was a comedian with the accordion. And when I was in high school, and I don't even understand how I was able to do that, me and some high school friends went to a comedy club in Kansas and saw her live, and we were like right up front. Before I was a blonde in front, I was right up front row and saw her, and it was amazing. And I got her to sign something for me, and I still have that in my childhood bedroom. But it was just great to see, because I was a funny weird girl. I played tuba, and to see this little woman like going all over the country and on HBO and like playing the accordion and doing her own thing. It's an inspiration. And the one that you said, George Carlin, I will always remember George Carlin for, everyone has to buy stuff, and then they take stuff and they move it to other places. So you have stuff in 2 places, and then you go on vacation, and then you bring that stuff, overseas, and then you've got stuff and stuff and stuff. But one of the one of these things with comedians, like if you have some good ones that you may not even remember their name, but you'll remember their skit. Like there was a guy who did this bit where he would have this aunt who would always ask if the heat's on, because she was always so hot, and it's like I think she's going through menopause or something. He was like, I'm not really sure, but it's like she would always like, oh, how's your mom? Yeah, she had that surgery. How's she doing? Well, can you ask her, is the heat on? It's so hot in here. It's just so hot in here. And every time he would do that. And then the other guy, his first name is Dana, but he would always do the stuff.
Oh, is it Dana Gould?
Yes, about people doing calling people and trying to do dirty language, and how Don Knotts could never do that, because it's like, well, I can see you through the bedroom window. It's like Don Knotts. And that's one of those, I mean, that's like, those are 40 plus years old jokes.
Oh no, at this point, yeah.
They are like scarred in my brain, like a happy scar that I will like, remember this? But the other thing is that when you know people who saw those also when they were kids, like I had a friend in college, and I would do like, is the heat on? And he would go, it's so hot in here. I'm like, oh, you saw that guy. And he's like, I did see that guy on HBO. And it's like, yay.
It's the secret handshake. That's
yes,
one of the great things about comedy.
Moment. It's like,
yeah,
that's the power of comedians. It's like they can bring
power of cable
together
too. Like we grew up, well, at this point now, like my college years were the 90s and aughts, where like Comedy Central Presents and BET, like the access to good fresh comedy, it was a secret handshake versus, hey, did you see the new Joey Coy special? You know, like it's like Netflix I'm glad Netflix especially is a hub for stand-up comedy as much as it is for documentaries. Like I'm glad there's readily available comedy, but like it was different when when it was more secretive, like when you saw it, maybe not everyone else saw it, but now everyone sees it. It's its own water cooler, you know.
But it's also
it is.
Yeah,
it's also
good that it's big, but it's almost too big, you know.
It's too big. There's too much of it, and I think one of the great things about HBO, because one of the jokes in this movie was Alex was talking to a couple of comedians. They were talking about staying up for like watching Def Comedy Jam and sneaking to watch it when they were little kids. But that's the thing is, if you were watching those specials, it was also an indication of when you were watching them, because it'd be on like midnight, 2 a.m. You just imagine that kid sneaking downstairs and watching something, and then it was just gone unless they played it in a rerun somewhere. It's not like, oh, I want to watch that again, so I can just hit repeat. It was on when it was on, and then it's gone. My gosh, I just did a rhyme.
And Showtime at the Apollo. Oh my God, that was legendary.
Yeah.
I gotta stop thinking about it, otherwise I'm gonna start singing the theme song.
Oh yeah.
Or the rabbit hole of late YouTube we're gonna go on here. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing those comics months. By the way, I have a George Carlin story as well. He did a book signing tour for When Will Jesus Bring the Pork Chops? This was not that long before he passed away. He came to the Barnes and Noble in Skokie, and it was a packed place. And he came out. I don't know if either of you have read that book, but it begins with a multiple page rhyming comic monologue, and he came out just like rapping it. He didn't have any notes.
Son of a gun.
And it's a complicated, like it's like reading the Comedy Declaration of Independence off the top of your head, and we were all just like, wow. So that's that was the talent that we lost 20 years ago.
Yeah, let's give some snaps to that boys, gentlemen, that we in our lifetime were privy to seeing at some point George Carlin, and that's not something that unfortunately these generations, can't say. I mean, they could see it on TV and stuff, but just to know that, in our lifetime he was doing this and stuff, like I think that's a blessed thing.
Yeah, very much so.
There's so much because of the volume of the current stuff. Some of the old classics are lost to time. Like you tell people Eddie Murphy used to do comedy albums and movies, they would not believe you. They think he's the old dad in these broken legacy sequels, or people who left too soon, like Carlin being gone 20 years, Bernie Mac's been gone 10, 15 years. Like there's some folks that could have aged to be the next George Burns that's doing this till they're 90. They're Don Rickles that's still on the couch of some late night talk show, regaling us with jokes with no new projects. They're just out there for the jokes. We don't have those people yet, or the people of our childhood will be those old men on the ends of couches someday, and that'll be fun too. But we're not there yet. It's weird, you know.
Mel Brooks is 100.
100. It's
Wow.
amazing.
I mean, what?
He's got a movie coming out, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Spaceballs 2 has come out in 27, I think, right?
Hope so. Yeah. I
Is
thought
it,
was
20
earlier,
is it this
maybe.
year or is it next year? I thought I saw
don't
it was
know.
next year, but I could be
Okay.
wrong. I'm just hoping he's around for the
Oh,
premiere.
I know.
And
Yeah.
I'm not wishing anything bad, but
Mhm.
you mentioned he's up there. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
But all right, well,
One thing like these, like, hugely comment, like Norman Lear was 100. Like,
Mhm.
Carl Reiner, I think, was 99. I
Mhm.
mean, these are guys that it's like comedies in their bones, and they
Yeah.
gave us like more comedy than any of us are alive right now. Like, I mean, they were doing it for like 70, 80 plus years. And it's just hit after hit after hit after
Yeah.
hit. And it's like, are we going to have those generations that, comedians that do that? I don't know. I can
It's
hope.
hard 'cause, like,
that's a
yeah.
whole, I don't know. Maybe that's a once in a lifetime thing.
Yeah. I feel like there's a gap because the hard driving people of the 70s and 80s that did all the drugs are dead, like, or Chevy Chase is not far, like it's just we've got a tough generation where we don't have any old folks, where we need, Will Ferrell is a at least 60-year-old guy now. Like we're getting to grandpa stage for some of these folks, but we're not there yet. So yeah.
no, he can still play 40 Don because
I know. Oh gosh,
sorry.
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah. Let that down also. Yeah.
All right. Well,
Well,
we're gonna
yeah.
pull over. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Let's see. Wow. Comments.
There's some rambling stuff here.
Oh, are
Yeah.
there comments?
Yes.
There are.
Rebel
No.
Sana Z. Have y'all seen the SpongeBob movie? No.
Sorry.
This is gonna be fun.
But
Wow. DB Cooper's angry lesbians can F off.
They're welcome in my house.
okay.
What the
Yeah.
hell? I don't know. I don't appreciate that comment, nor that I understand it.
No.
DB Cooper, are you on a plane somewhere? Anyway,
We'll find out.
the Four Horsemen 840. I thought Monsters in 20 Years Later was highly overrated. Am I crazy?
It's a key question.
Yeah, I didn't like Monsters, and I didn't like 20 Years Later. So yes, are they overrated?
I
Are people rating
mean,
them?
You say
these
so.
to me, these are funnier than Is This Thing On? So,
There we
let's
go.
keep going, Ian.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, but here's there's clarification. I meant Weapons and 20 Years Later. Yes, I can say with 100% confidence, Weapons is overrated. And we'll be talking about. Wait, okay.
There's some movie. It's in the show notes, buddy. We'll get it crisp. You're good.
Okay.
We'll hold your hand, bud.
Chris 308. I'm toxic as hell. What are we talking about? We are talking about Is This Thing On? I think. All right.
Or are we? Right?
Let's see. These are very strange. She fine. Say Mo
Damn right,
crazy.
Katie.
me?
These comments are going back like a half hour or more. So these could have been
sure.
talking about us or what we were talking about. I don't know. That's kind of the danger and the fun of doing comments at the end.
I will say yes to Katie's things anytime she wants. I will be a yes man.
Yes.
Happy wife,
although
happy life. Even we're married to her, but yeah.
I was going to say, Don.
I'm your critic wife.
Critic wife. There we go. I do give you rides home.
There you go.
Discount.
Yeah. Critic
Discount.
wife. Mwah.
Yeah. You get McDonald's drive-through. This counts.
Let's see. I'm going to eat something dead now. All right.
Preferably. Cook it
It's
first.
crazy to look at men older than me and for me to think of them as my young children.
Oh, thanks.
These are getting deep now.
Face
I
here.
know.
These are really getting. That's like tattoo worthy almost.
I know.
we're
Like
going
right
behind.
here. Right
We're
here.
going beyond the
regrets,
green door.
Yeah.
What? The United States is a bunch of cowards weaker than them. Come over here and try that crap. I think that somehow they got onto the wrong live stream because I don't know what that's in reference to.
This is a foreign French film we're talking about, right? This is Nouvelle Vague, right? Richard Linklater should stay in Texas. Right.
Hey.
That
I
movie.
think the biggest crime of award season is that Richard Linklater is not being talked about for having delivered 2 bangers of a movie in Nouvelle Vague and then Blue Moon.
I can take or leave one of them, but I got you. Yeah.
I have not seen Blue Moon yet. Nouvelle
Blue Moon's
Vague, I needed to be another space. I did like Zoe's hair, so I'm going to get that haircut because I love it.
Okay.
It's great. And have you ever seen Breathless by Godard?
No.
Watch Breathless.
I
Watch
know.
Breathless and then watch Nouvelle Vague. It's great.
That tone was not at you. That tone is disgust in me that I have not seen it yet. I am disappointed.
I knew I needed to beforehand because if I watched Nouvelle Vague without it, I'd be so damn lost. Let me tell you.
And I think that's the thing with me. I'm like, okay, all right.
I felt like I was watching
But
someone
again-
else's love letters. Like, I don't care about Breathless as much as you do, Richard. Well, make me care, and you don't. So yeah.
Well, that is down to subjectivity, sir, because I thought Nouvelle Vague was amazing. But I would say, Katie, don't feel ashamed because I did not see Breathless until I think 2 years ago, thanks to this gentleman here in the comment, Sajiwa.
Sajiwa.
We talked about it on is either Slow Down or the Indie Scene, one of our indie film shows. But yeah, he introduced me. He helped me appreciate Godard because much like, oh my gosh, why can't I think of his name?
No,
White American guy. I don't know what we're talking about.
Okay. This is embarrassing. I'm very, very tired. Tree of Life.
Malick.
Oh,
Terrence Malick. I had the same problem with Terrence Malick as I did with Godard, is watching the later stuff first instead of going back and starting at the beginning. So I'm a big Godard fan, and I'm also a big
early
Malick fan. No, later Malick too.
Oof.
I famously wrote, or famous to be, a scathing review of Tree of Life, which I've left up on Kicking the Seat, even though I went back and revisited it a few years ago, and now I am positively in love with that film.
Oh, God.
I love that. Yeah, I know
that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
All right. So, but Sajiwa says, taking a cookie break, dropping in. I heard some kind of a movie review show happening here.
Yeah.
Yes.
1,000 episodes. Yeah, we're there.
Have not seen this movie yet. Looks interesting. Takes place in the best city, I think. Well, you would say that as a New Yorker, sir. A little biased.
Yeah. I'd love to see a New Yorker's opinion on it anyway. Like, man, you can't get into the Comedy Cellar. Like, you just can't walk in. Like, I'm waiting for that
is true.
fact-checking person to come around.
What is this crap?
Yeah. You can't take a pot cookie in the subway. Look at you. Like, I'm waiting for that. You know.
It's on his watch list now.
Clean? What place is this? Yeah.
That's true. This does take place in Fantasyland, as Thornton Mellon would have said. All right. Oh, guys, we're gonna break some news here. We're gonna break some news here on Kicking the Seat. Epstein didn't do it.
Bradley Cooper told me that.
Hello, friends. Sorry I'm late. Conservative Denker.
Hi.
I was caught in traffic dropping my friend Gabe Owners off at lunch. Okay.
I feel like we do read that in a Chicago accent.
All right. Was that a Mitch Hedberg bit?
That's
or
a good
naming Mitch Hedberg as a comedy influence. There you go.
Yeah. He
was another guy
for the guys now. Like the mopey, that's Will Arnett right now. The mopey, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm gonna squeeze it through my teeth, uncomfortable comedian, you know?
Yeah. Let's see. All right. Mitch Hedberg's another guy I didn't quite appreciate the first time I saw him. Danielle, Barry Sports Highlight 5851. Some of these names are crazy. Happy Tuesday. Hello, guys. Hello,
guys and gal.
That's right.
Yes, guys and gal. Dark
Yes,
Horse
man.
5390 says, hello, good day to you. Good day to you, too.
Just
Dark Horse.
Yeah.
All right, Gorgon Black. These next ones, I'm going to read them because they're there, but I am borderline confused and offended. So take her out back. I don't know what that means. Now, get in there, and Katie will like it. Now, Katie, your name is not spelled Katy, so
not at all. I mean, Gorgon, if you can't even spell my name correctly, then no, I will not like it. And I can give you something out back.
Hey,
this is why we've got lesbians, the Epstein files, Katie liking something but not this Katie, so I'm thinking we got like cross-pollinated with another stream or something. So with that said, I'm going to thank everyone for joining, ? And just say thank y'all for hanging out and talking about Is This Thing On, and several other things. I really have enjoyed this discussion. If you enjoyed this discussion, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications and all that good stuff. I am Ian Simmons of Kicking the Seat. We have Don Shanahan of Film Obsessive and the Cinephile Hissy Fit podcast, and Every Movie Has a Lesson. We have Katie Glidewell, the blonde in front. As always, thank you for hanging out. Next week, we'll be back. I'm thinking we're going to be back on Tuesday as well. I could be wrong, but I'll know for sure in the next few. Is there any screenings going on? I don't know, but
that's a Katie question.
Oh,
did you say is that a Katie question?
Yeah, I haven't gone to enough. Yeah,
there's screenings next week.
Okay. Well, on Tuesday though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Are they ones that you will be attending?
Yes.
Oh.
All right, we'll have to work this out sometime.
You going to Chris Pratt's? Okay.
I'm going because I want to. I mean, might as well start off the year with one of my worst on there. I don't know. I don't know what it is because I don't watch trailers, but I love Rebecca Ferguson. So,
are you doing Send Help on Thursday?
Well, hey,
you know it.
We're still live, so we're not going to talk about the behind the scenes of when screenings are happening in a particular city,
here, right? Yeah.
But sometime next week we'll be back. I say Earth's Mightiest Critics. I'm not sure the configuration because apparently some people are going to screenings. We're going to be talking about 28 years later, The Bone Temple. A question that came up earlier in the comments is 28 years later overrated? I would say yes. We'll see how The Bone Temple, the sequel to the sequel to the sequel to the sequel, whatever, holds up. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And until next time, gang, whenever that is, whatever that is, thank you very much and take care. I'm going to end the stream now, I think.